as well as all the demigods. You are the predominating deity of the moon and the master of all three Vedas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the original source of satisfaction for all living entities. Purport. When the living entity is born within this material world, especially as a human being, he has several obligations unto the demigods, unto the saintly persons, and unto living entities in general. As enjoined in the Shastras, Devarishi Bhudapta Nrinam Pitrinam. Thus, one has an obligation to one's forefathers, the previous hierarchy. Lord Shiva prays to Lord Aniruddha to give him strength so he can become free from all obligations to the Pitas, demigods, general living entities, and saintly persons, and completely engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord, as stated, Devarishi Bhudapta Nrinam Pitrinam Nakinkaro Nayam Ranicharajan Sarvatmanaya Saranam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. One becomes free from all obligations to the demigods, saintly persons, pitas, ancient forefathers, etc. if one is completely engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Lord Shiva therefore prays to Lord Aniruddha to give him strength so that he can be free from such obligations and entirely engage in Lord's service. Soma, or the predominating deity of the moon, is responsible for living entities' ability to relish the taste of food through the tongue. Lord Shiva prays to Lord Aniruddha to give him strength so that he will not taste anything but the prasada of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a verse indicating that the tongue is most favorable enemy among all the senses. If one can control the tongue, he can easily control the other senses. The tongue can be controlled only by eating prasada offered to the deity. Lord Shiva's prayer to Lord Aniruddha is meant for this purpose. Tripti Daya. He prays to Lord Aniruddha to help him be satisfied by eating only prasada offered to the Lord. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namavurjai Shetraya Pataye Yagyare Tashe Triptidhaya Ch Jivanam Namas Sarva Rasatmane. My Lord, you are the provider of the Pitralokas as well as all the demigods. You are the predominating deity of the moon and the master of all three Vedas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the original source of satisfaction for all living entities. Hare Krishna. So the current context that we are in is Lord Shiva is discussing with Prachetas. Lord Shiva is respecting Prachetas as devotees of the Lord and saying that how a devotee is to be respected as much as the Supreme Lord is respected. And he is saying that even I am very dear to devotees, and devotees are dear to me because of this very nature. And hence, he wanted to speak some secret, the most confidential aspect to these wonderful boys and enlighten them and direct them for their tapasya that they were going to do. This science of Krishna consciousness is considered confidential. The science of Krishna consciousness is considered as all-encompassing, holistic, and the science of Krishna consciousness is eternal. When Lord Shiva is enlightening Prachetas, he is chanting these prayers which otherwise are not commonly chanted, not because they are important, but because they are not appreciated and understood by general populace. So we are going to have some sets of reflections through this current context and chant this particular words in detail. The first reflection is about the nature of Krishna consciousness or the nature of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness, the process of devotional service in Krishna consciousness, is something which is very sublime, and if somebody takes up Krishna consciousness seriously, Srila Prabhupada writes, yesterday I was discussing in another Bhagavatham class, that how when a queen walks, all her maid servants, all her other assistants, all the citizens, they walk behind her. So this process of devotional service is like a queen. When devotional service is performed, then all the other resultant processes, benefits, effects will automatically follow. Dhyana and Vairagya, two children of Bhakti, will stand at the doorstep of a person who performs devotional service. So when someone performs devotional service, he does not need to do something explicitly different to acquire other abilities. Many places this aspect is been explained, and this one current context is also something of that nature. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunair tatra samasate suraha. Krishna is explaining, if somebody is performing akinchana bhakti, sarvair gunair tatra samasate suraha, just by performing devotional service, one can acquire all the good qualities of a demigod automatically without any extra endeavor. On the contrary, Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahadguna. Even if you have all the good qualities, if you are not performing devotional service, those good qualities are volatile and change according to different circumstances. In this current context also, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, Lord Shiva is explaining how just by being surrendered to the Supreme Lord, all the other living entities are satisfied. We don't need to separately go and take care of the obligations to all the other living entities. Elsewhere, in Bhagavad Mahatmya, it is explained that Bhakti is like a predominating or a leading deity. All the other qualities, all the other processes, all the other benefits, they are all like a tail. They are all like a wagon behind the engine. So if somebody performs bhakti, then siddhi, yoga, jnana, everything will follow. So this nature of spirituality, this nature of this Krishna consciousness is generally explained by the holistic nature in which everything is taken care. Number two, in its eternal nature, so that we are not worried about temporary and long-lasting things. It is also explained by how somebody performing devotional service, they are not indebted. And all this knowledge is confidential. When Lord Shiva is talking to these boys, he is saying, I am going to speak to you some mantra, chant some mantra. Please hear them carefully and attentively, because this is not only transcendental, pure and auspicious, but this is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. So Lord Shiva was very kind enough in revealing the confidential signs to these to these boys, Prachetas, because they are devotees, because they were humble and possessed some basic qualities of being a student. So the reflections that we are going to have now, number one, is about how this Krishna consciousness, or the science of Krishna consciousness, the knowledge which is from a higher dimensional science. The reflection number 2 is something that we learn on the philosophy of indebtedness. And reflection number 3 is the duties, or somebody who has accepted this process of Krishna consciousness, how do they need to conduct, or what their duties are. So from a higher dimensional standpoint, as a first reflection, by design and default, we are all ignorant of this higher dimensional science. When I say higher dimensional science, this Krishna consciousness, nowhere it has to be perceived, it has to be understood from the materialistic frame of mind. Say, for example, if you want to observe a scientific object, if you want to study about a atom, particle, microscopic, living entity, if anything that is all not possible to see by naked eye, we need to adopt the process defined by the experts, the scientists. If we do not do that, then we will miss to understand them, or miss to say that such things don't exist. So Lord Shiva is enlightening these boys that the nature is present which you are seeing, but this nature that you are seeing is under the control of the Supreme Lord. This nature is not independent. And this nature that you are enjoying, or the ingredients that you are interacting, going to utilize, they are all not just independently existing, they are existing under the direction, under the purview of the Supreme Lord. Because many philosophers, many scholars, they accept up till the point of nature, because that is something that you can see. But they are not able to accept, and they will not educate people beyond that. This is called gross science or pratyaksha jnana. So that which I see, that which I enjoy, that which I perceive is what is truth. If someone understands like that, then we have a problem. This is a very limited understanding of spirituality, and hence Acharyas condemn that knowledge. So Lord Shiva is trying to give a perspective by which the process of meditation that the Prachetas wanted to do can become complete. Otherwise, just by meditating on some nature, meditating on some aspects, we need to know who's the real master or the controller. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, in many places, Krishna clarifies, establishes how he is the controller. So my first reflection is to delineate the aspect that how these material ingredients and how this material nature, how these material senses and components, all of them, they are part of the higher dimensional science, and that science rests in accepting Krishna as the Supreme Father. Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed-giving Father, and I am the uh, overall in charge. And this Supreme Lord can be realized in 5 aspects. One aspect of the Supreme Lord is Para. He is, appreciated as the Lord in the spiritual abode in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. Second aspect, he is appreciated as Antaryami, as Paramatma in the heart. Third aspect in which we can understand the Supreme Lord is Vaibhava. Fourth aspect is appreciated as Archa Vigraha, deity. And fifth aspect that is appreciated as holy name. And actually it is also holy name as well as his pastimes. So Para, Golok Vrindavan Dham, the Supreme Lord, we don't get to see until we reach there. When we hear the pastimes of the Lord, we get to see the Lord when you hear his pastimes as Vaibhava. And only self-realized soul can see the Lord in the deity form. Otherwise, we see them as some materialistic thing. So what is remaining is his Antaryami form, which is as a Paramatma. Second is the holy name. So Krishna explains to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, please recognize that as Paramatma, I enlighten you. As Paramatma, I monitor you. As Paramatma, I sanction your desires. As Paramatma, I remain your friend. As Paramatma, I am your eternal well-wisher, and also as a Paramatma, I am the Bhokta, the eternal benefactor. Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha. So if this higher dimensional science is not fully understood, then with a limited knowledge, like the so-called materialistic scholars, we will also analyze, we will also understand, we will also explain the materialistic nature from a limited purview only. We will not be able to understand the unlimited purview, Vibhu, Anu. So Krishna can be explained as an Anu, Anoraniyam, Mahator Mahiyam. So if these two parts of Krishna, how he can be the smallest of the smallest, and Mahator Mahiyam. So hence Lord Shiva was considering this as his duty, not to get carried away by the pratyaksha, the external aspects of life. Rather, he is giving the subtleties. So in the subtlety aspect of higher dimensional science, what I want to say is, the example that I always give is if a three-dimensional object, when it is projected on a two-dimensional plane, if those who have studied engineering they would have understood in terms of an engineering drawing. We do projections. But to explain for the people in general, look at an object and look at the shadow of that object. The object, if you hold it in your hand, it is having its three-dimensional nature: length, breadth, height, and other attributes. Not only three-dimensional, it may have other aspects, other attributes. You can get to see its color. You can get to see its shape, get to see its height, get to see its width, get to see its depth, get to see, other attributes, whether it is sharp object, soft object, hard object, dissolvable object, decomposable object, various other attributes. But with the same thing, when it is projected or when you see the shadow of that object, various attributes are completely gone. When these attributes are gone, then we won't be able to fully appreciate the object otherwise which we would have appreciated. So the reflection here is, unless we see the Supreme Lord, unless we see the creation of the Supreme Lord from the eyes of Shastras, from the eyes of Sadhu, from the eyes of great personalities like Lord Shiva, we will only see the limited aspect of the Lord, which is incomplete. That is what so many monist philosophers, so many atheistic philosophers, they explain. They explain in their philosophy, in their epistemology, that because this is what we could perceive and this is what the Lord could be. Beyond this, we cannot explain. There are so many philosophers, Jaimini, and so many monist philosophers, atheistic philosophers, Kannada. So like that, many people have explained or tried to explain the material world, material nature, and they could put them into a very confined, place, whilst it is beyond that. So to conclude my first reflection, I want to say that the science of Krishna consciousness is a higher dimensional science, and which has got a characteristics of it being holistic, which means it is all encompassing. It has got a characteristics of eternally, which means it is not meant for some temporary time or period. And this process is like a queen of the process, that just by doing one aspects of this process, understanding the topmost aspect of this process, the obligations or the indebtedness or the other attributes that otherwise we need to be taking care is always taken care. And last but not least, this process is highly confidential, not understandable by general populace. The second reflection is, Srila Prabhupada once met a magician in Vrindavan. So this magician was doing a lot of magics, vanishing the objects, bringing them back. He was doing various types of magic. So they all had a blast. They all were laughing and joking out and enjoying that. But after every such act of done, been done by the magician, Srila Prabhupada said to the magician, can you do a magic of stopping the cycle of birth and death? And the magician said, no, Swamiji, that is not, part of my skills. Srila Prabhupada said, I have done that. So who is the greater magician? So all the assembled devotees, they said, Jai Srila Prabhupada. And they really understood the real magic of this process of Krishna consciousness. So I want to explain as a second reflection that to even understand that we are ignorant, we first need to learn that certain things we don't know, certain things that we know. And unless we accept that and keep our learning senses on, we will not be able to understand the confidentiality aspect of it. Lord Shiva was explaining to these boys because they come from a very cultured upbringing and they have, as soon as Prachini Barhi told the Chetas that he should go ahead and get married, they were really wanted to be prepared before doing that. So Lord Shiva said that your being prepared should be fully cognizant, and from that perspective, he is explaining the science of Krishna consciousness, which is much more deeper. If you have followed the previous verses, Lord Shiva is explaining the position of the Supreme Lord in terms of how he is the Upadrishta, how he is the Anumanta, and how he is Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. My second reflection is to explain how this aspect of higher dimensional science, confidentiality, is revealed and explained. Because only very limited personalities have dealt the deeper aspects of the Krishna consciousness, and hence by following them, by tailing them, we will be able to appreciate. So it is questioned that Bhagavad Gita is public, Srimad Bhagavatham is public, the science of Krishna consciousness is public, everything is openly spoken about. How this knowledge is confidential? How this knowledge is something that is all encompassing? A very interesting story is, generally shared in this context. One disciple is going to the spiritual master, and the spiritual master blessed him and initiated him into this process of chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the spiritual master told the disciple that this process is very special, sublime, and confidential. So I'm giving the secret, keep it very carefully. So he gave the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and this boy was highly elated and thought that I've got the most confidential knowledge, most confidential science, and most confidential process. So he was highly elated and was going to enjoy. And so, in a jubilant spirit, when he came out of the Guru's ashram, holding on to the beads and enjoying to himself, he found a washerwoman. Typically, in the olden days, people go to the river banks and wash their clothes, doing the laundry. So, this lady, she was washing the clothes and was singing the mantra that he heard, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. She was washing and was singing. And he thought that how come this confidential secret that I know, this lady knew. She doesn't seem to be much more organized and sorted. How come she knew that? Then he thought that probably she would have also, got some blessings of Gurudev. So he ignored and moved forward, moved further. Then he saw a fisherman. So when he was fishing, he was singing the same Hare Krishna, Mahamantra song. Then he got more suspicious. The Guru said he was confidential. This fisherman also seems to be knowing this. Then a little further, there was some group of boys. They were playing and they were singing this song. Then he was all the more suspicious and then went back to Guru and said, "My dear Gurudev, you said that this process is very rare, very sublime, and very confidential. But I seem to be seeing that many, many people are knowing about it. So how is it possible? What is so confidential about this?" So the Gurudev said, for that to understand, I want to give you this special stone. So he gave a stone, which is a kind of a special Chintamani stone. With that stone, or a para stone or touchstone, if somebody touches an object, it will transform the metal to a gold. So he said, you take this stone, don't explain about the characteristics of the stone to those three people whom you met, and offer this stone to them, and then see the result. Then you will understand the confidentiality and the superlative nature of the science of Krishna consciousness. So this boy took the stone and offered it to this washerwoman. "My dear lady, I have this wonderful stone." He didn't tell about the characteristics. He just gave that, do you want to keep this with you and trade off for some little cash? She looked at the stone. She said that, what will I do with the stone? It does not have any value to me. It is all just useless because I'm a washerwoman and nowhere in my regular chores I would need them. So she said, I don't need them. The fisherman said that looks like this stone is not so useful even in my fishing. Maybe I can try to use them someplace. I can give you a couple of dollars for this stone. I can as well pick it up, but since you are a small boy looking forward for encashing this, I can give you a few dollars. $5, $10, $1, $2, something like that. So this boy took that stone, the touchstone, to those small boys, the boys who are playing, and said, "Guys, would you want to trade this off for giving me something valuable in return?" The boy said that, "No, I can use this stone for our play, but that also we don't need to spend so much of money. We can figure it out ourselves. If you still want, we'll give you same like the other guy, $5, $10." So then this boy realized that many people will be glorifying the Lord, many people will be worshipping the Lord, many people will be following the so-called devotional sentiments, but only those who are enlightened by the science of enlightened uh, with the science of Krishna consciousness and its glory by a bona fide spiritual authority, they will be able to appreciate the real value behind it. So this is called open secret. Typically in nowadays competitive exams, as we grow up in doing masters and PhD programs, they always ask you to do open book test. This open book test is everything is open, everything is openly available, but still it is an evaluation because it is not about what you see, what you are perceiving. It is about what you are inheriting and what you are able to assimilate and interpret. So Lord Shiva, when he is glorifying about different aspects of the Supreme Lord, how the Lord is Ajita, how the Lord is Vibhava, how the Lord is Isha, how the Lord is Ananta, the different aspects of the Supreme Lord, he wants to explain that when you are surrendering to the Supreme Lord, when you are going to perform your benedictions or if you are going to perform your austerities, please understand the Supreme Lord in a very holistic personality, not in a very limited personality like all the sentimental practitioners do. So the reason the second reflection is relevant to our context is we as practitioners, especially those coming from a very cultured upbringing, always perceive the Lord in a very limited scale, always perceive the Lord from our um, pratyaksha jnana, from what we could perceive. But the Lord is unlimited, something that we can't even perceive, and we need to learn that. Kevalashtakam is explaining that. Aho dukkam maha dukkam dukha dukkataram yataha kachartam vismrutam ratna hare namaiva kevalam. So, the science of Krishna consciousness is so sublime that it is Ratna. And if somebody does not understand the depth of the science, they will understand this Ratna as a broken piece of glass, and Kachartam Vismrutam Ratna. You will consider the broken piece of glass as diamond and diamond as a broken piece of glass. So the second reflection hence is about Hare Krishna. So basically the science of Krishna consciousness is much more than what we perceive, and the revelation is given by Lord Shiva. And the last aspect of today's discussion is about the science of indebtedness. So the science of indebtedness is, as explained by Srila Prabhupada, that we are indebted to various personalities as explained here. We are indebted to Devas, Bhutas, Bhutaganas, Pitrus, Kinkaras, so many such people. Arjuna is asking to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, or maybe 8th chapter, I'm not exactly remembering that. Arjuna was asking, my dear Lord, you're asking me to relinquish all the things that I'm doing and asking me to single-pointedly focus into the science of, following Krishna consciousness. I am actually indebted to so many people. I have so many obligations. We have so many duties to perform. How is it that all those things will be taken care when we, give up all those things? So Krishna, that's when says about the science of how when you water to the root, the whole tree gets nourished. how when you take care of your constitutional devotional service offered to the Supreme Lord, then every other people to whom you are supposed to satisfy get not automatically satisfied. And in that same series, Krishna is explaining, hence, you need to be serious in what you are practicing, because on the one side, you may try to give up the obligations that you are supposed to be obliged to your parents, your country, your family, your boss, your society, and may dedicate yourself into a full-time practitioner. But if you're not practicing properly and having a adulterated life as devotees, then we are definitely not fulfilling our responsibilities as an individual, also trying to take the risk of so many sinful effects upon us by not doing such obligations. So here, Lord Shiva is saying that how by surrendering to the Supreme Lord, genuinely surrendering to the Supreme Lord, all the obligations to such great personalities are taken up by the Supreme Lord Himself. It is not that those people are ignored. It is that by taking care of the Supreme Lord, by serving the Supreme Lord, many needs are addressed. It is like when I am working in the Prime Minister's office, when I am personal assistant to the government official, it may apparently appear that I don't need to follow certain rules and regulations. So it is like when I'm sitting in the Prime Minister's car, when I'm sitting in the President's convoy. So probably I don't need to, follow the traffic rules. Probably I may not necessarily to oblige to certain otherwise obvious rules. But then this should not be misunderstood as a prerogative for us to be reckless. So hence, the third reflection is about we being indebted to the Supreme Lord, we being indebted to the followers of the Supreme Lord. By we being indebted to them, the other indebtedness, the other debts that we otherwise need to settle in is taken care. By we being obedient follower to the Supreme Lord, other things are taken care. So hence we should be able to dutifully, enthusiastically, and in a very humble state of mind submit ourselves to the process of Krishna consciousness and be very conscious about what we are doing, so that the other lower obligations which we would have otherwise foregone are taken care. So this other obligations are taken up by the Supreme Lord not for any other reason but for the reason that you are busy with Him. If you are not busy with Him, you better do all those obligations. So we are, as members of this material world, as citizens of this material world, we have various obligations. So I conclude by saying the difference between a soldier versus citizen. A soldier is also a citizen, but is beyond a citizen. A citizen has got certain obligations in terms of paying the tax, in terms of following some norms, in terms of abiding by some rules. And the soldier also has got some obligations. But when somebody becomes a soldier, he has got very good benefits. And some of the benefits are provided to the soldier which are not provided to the citizen, because he has got some higher purposes, higher responsibilities. So hence this indebtedness that we need to show towards the Supreme Lord and his devotees is good enough to absolve the indebtedness that we need to show to so many other people. Otherwise, we need to land up in offering our services to so many people from whom we are receiving the benefits. I will end with a small story. When one person was performing a tapasya and he was very contemplative and deeply performing the tapasya under the tree near the banks of a river, very sincerely praying to the Lord. The Lord appeared in front of him and he said, I'm very much pleased. So I'm ready to offer some benedictions to you. So when this guy was about to receive the blessings of the Lord, he heard a sound. He said that I am Sun God. So whatever blessings that you are going to receive from the Supreme Lord, 10% of them I should receive because I provided the sunlight so that you could exist or you could function. So you need to offer 10% of what you receive from the Supreme Lord to me. So this guy said it makes sense because had sunlight not been there, I would have not been able to perform. Then he was about to receive, okay, mighty Lord, give me the remaining 90%. Then he said, Mother Earth, said that I need to receive 10% because you stood on me, so some portion goes to me. Then he said, makes sense too. Then, before he was about to ask the Lord to give the 80%, the tree started to speak. Hey, I gave you shades, so I need to receive 10%. Then the wind, then the water, like that, one after the other, they came and said that because of me supporting you, you functioned. So, you're supposed to offer your blessings to me also. So finally this guy thought that what is left with me, that what did I actually do? Because many times we think we are the doer, we are the enjoyer, we are the benefactor, but actually we are none of them. We are just a simple, humble, an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Only a self-realized soul understand them and accept them as puppet in the Lord's hand. Others claim that they are the doer. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So the biggest problem of us in this world is kartaham iti manyate. The moment you think you are the karta, you are the doer, that's when the problem starts. So one time I was doing an exercise with a group of kids to teach them about the science of prayer. So we divided the board into two parts. One side of the board, I told the kids to list all those things that we receive from the Lord, which are very much inevitable for our existence, but we don't need to ask Him every day. If they are provided to you. On the second side of the board, I asked the kids to list all those things that we give to the Lord without being told. Please list all of those things that you can offer to the Lord without being told. So, many lists. So the list grew on the left-hand side. Everybody wrote this: sunlight, moonlight, water, family, friends, society, good body, beauty, intelligence, knowledge, whatever. So they kept on writing. Depends upon their what they could comprehend. On the right hand side, where we are supposed to give to the Lord, we could hardly write anything. So then I asked them, if somebody is providing you this every day for your existence without you being asking, even to those people who claim that God don't exist, even for them, such things are required. And in return, you are not giving anything to Him. What is the barest minimum that we should be doing? So equivocally, everybody said that at least as a gentleman, we should say thank you. Because if somebody is giving you so many things for a continuous period in time without which we cannot exist, so then we made the kids to write a thank you letter. Dear Lord, thank you so much for providing this every moment. I am surviving every moment by your blessings, by your divine arrangement. So everybody wrote their thank you letter. And I said, this thank you letter that you wrote is what is about called prayer. Of course, we chant prayers composed by various bona fide acharyas, but this thank you letter, you go and read the Lord. This is your prayer. When Lord Shiva is teaching this special prayer to Prachetas, it is to be understood that these prayers are meant to explain the superlative nature of the Supreme Lord and how we are highly indebted to them and highly indebted to Him, and without His blessings, not even a blade of grass move, and only one person can move the Supreme Lord, which is Lord's devotees. So if somebody learned the art of surrendering to the Lord's devotees, as well as the Supreme Lord, every other obligation is taken care. And if he does this dutifully, then he is airlifted and personally taken care. So I would like to end this discussion on this note, saying that for us to appreciate the higher dimensional science, for us to appreciate the confidentiality aspect of the Krishna consciousness, for us to appreciate the indebted nature that we need to inculcate, and that Krishna consciousness take care of all the debts when we serve Gato Mukundam Parikrama Kartam. We need to learn to control our senses, as Srila Prabhupada writes, by controlling our tongue, by what we speak and what we eat. All these things will fall in place and the spiritual knowledge gets revealed. So with this note, I end here, and thank you so much for engaging me in this service. I'm slightly shortfall with my time. In another 7 minutes, I need to give a Bhagavatham class in the temple. Unless otherwise, if there are any quick questions, for a minute or two, I would apologize for not being able to answer any other questions that you all may have. But I'll be open to respond those questions if somebody can personally write to me. So thank you so much. Vinatra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
All right, Prabhuji, thank you so much for this wonderful class today. As we're running short of time, we'll definitely wrap up the call here. So we are really grateful to you and look forward to having your association again in future. Vancha Kaltarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Goodbye. Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Muted.
Yes, you can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji. The call had got disconnected. Thank you so much. We'll start, Mataji. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sanjaya Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone. So yesterday we completed Antardvip, and in that we covered island by island is named Antardvip, then Sri Mayapur, Yogpeeth, Srivas Angan, Sri Advait Bhavan, Gadadhar Angan, Chaitanya Math, Vrid Shiva, Mahaprabhu Ghat, Jagai and Madhai Ghat, Barakona Ghat, Nagariya Ghat, Ganga Nagar, and today we will start with Bharadwaj Villa. Reading from Sri Navadwip Parikrama by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami. ततो गत्वा भरद्वाजा स्थानं संकीर्तयन् हरिं ततो मायापुराश्वासं प्रविशेषा स्वयं हरि. Lord Hari then went to Bharadwaj Thana and performed Hari Sankirtan. Then he personally entered the abode of Mayapur. This place is located at the end of village called Bharui Danga. A monument has been constructed there by Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust. Bharadwaj Muni was sitting on a raised villa performing his Gaura Bhajan. Therefore, this place is called Bharadwaj Tila. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote
The recording has started.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote in his Navadwip Bhavataranga. There one can see the lovely hill known as Bharadwaj Tila, where the great sage Bharadwaj worshipped Lord Gaura. The sage ultimately attained ecstatic love for Lord Chaitanya and then wrote scriptural verses that bestowed the gift of devotional service unto many materialistic people. Next we read Bharadwaj Muni receiving darshan of Lord Gauranga. Ishan Thakur explained to Sri Srinivas that this village is known as Bharui Danga. Previously, Bharadwaj Tila was situated here. After travelling to many tirthas, including the Samudra, Bharadwaj Muni came to a place called Chakradaha. It is now known as Chakda and is situated on the bank of the Ganga. From there, he visited Navadvip Dham. Upon seeing the beauty of Navadvip, the Muni became very ecstatic. He settled here on top of this tila in a very simple and humble manner, worshipping Lord Gauranga, being pleased by the pure love of Bharadwaj Muni. Lord Gaurahari revealed to him his most wonderful form. The sage offered his prostrated obeisances as well as many prayers, and the Lord told him to ask for any boon he desired. The Muni replied, "O my Lord, my only prayer is that you please bless me so that I will see you in your manifested pastimes here in Navadvip Dham." The Lord said, "Let it be so. Your desire will be fulfilled. You will have my darshan during my manifested pastime." Saying this, the Lord disappeared from the vision of the sage, who fell to the ground, offering his humble prostration to Navadvip Dham before continuing his pilgrimage. Bharadwaj Muni was sitting on a raised tila while engaged in his Gaur Bhajan. Therefore, this place is called Bharadwaj Tila. Then we have Murari Gupta's house. From Yogpeeth, before reaching Srivasangan, there is a road on your right. Follow that road for half a kilometer, and on your right, you will see a small temple. Murari Gupta's house was located here. There is a small temple here with deities of Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman installed by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. There is also a deity of Lord Narayana, which was found when the temple was excavated, but its age is unknown. This deity has now moved to Chaitanya Mutt and is being worshipped there. Now we have Prithukund. Prithukund is situated between Murari Gupta's house and Chaitanya Mutt. When you leave Srivas Angan and walk away from Mayapur on the Bhakti Siddhant Road, you will see a large paddy field just before reaching the Chaitanya Mutt. Although no longer visible, Prithukund was situated here and later came to be known as Balal Bidhi. In the Parikrama Khanda of Sri Navadwip Dham Mahatmya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has described Prithukund as follows. Towards the east of Ganganagar, where the houses of Ganga Das and Sanjay are located, is a very beautiful lake known as Balal Bidhi. This place was very important in Satya Yuga when Prithu Maharaj, one of the Satyaves avatars of the Lord, was ruling the earth planet. To make the planet more suitable for living, Prithu Maharaj had started a project to level its surface as some places were low and others high. When Prithu Maharaj came to Navadvip, his workers saw a bright effulgence all around. They informed the king and he personally came and noted the result. Because Prithu Maharaj is Satyaves avatar, empowered incarnation, he knew through meditation that this area was Navadvip Dham. In order to acknowledge the glories of this holy place, Prithu Maharaj ordered the digging of a very beautiful lake. This lake was called Prithukund by the people of Navadvip, who were very happy to drink its pure, transparent water. Later, King Lakshman Sen dug the lake deeper and renovated it, giving a more pleasing appearance. He did this welfare job, desiring the deliverance of his forefathers. Lakshman Sen's father was Balal Sen. Thus, the name of this lake became Balal Digi. Digi means a big pond or lake. Now we have Sridharangan. Sodhikvatam Kirtanado Shri Gaura Sundara Prabhu Tirtham Dvadashakam Tirtva Sridharasya Graham Yayo. Lord Sri Gaur Sundar, during the time of the first Kirtan, purified Kamsa, who had taken birth as Chand Kazi, and went to the house of Sridhar after crossing Dwadash Tirtha, the 12 Tirthas. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions in his Navadvip Bhavataranga, in the center of Madhuvan is the place called Vishram Sthal. There stands the cottage of the Lord's devotees named Sridhar and also a clear pond. After rectifying the Kazi, the Lord of the three worlds came here with his followers and rested. When will I shout, Hey Gauranga, at this Vishram Sthal? When will I roll upon the ground and cry in solitude? Overwhelmed with emotions of ecstatic love, will I ever see the beautiful Gauranga Sundar drinking water from Sridhar's iron pot? And when by the power of great fortune will my eyes behold the young son of Sachi in the midst of rousing Kirtan, along with Nityanand, Advait, Gadadhar and Srivas, dancing and begging for ecstatic love at the house of Sridhar. When Lord Nityanand took Sri Jiva and on Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, they reached the house of Sridhar or Kola Vecha Sridhar, the banana vendor. This personality is also known as Cowherd Boy Kusumasav in Krishna Leela. Nityanand Prabhu said, at this place Mahaprabhu would take rest after completing his dancing and chanting. Therefore, this place is known as Vishram Stan or place of rest. When Sridhar heard about the arrival of Lord Nityanand, he immediately came forward and offered prostrated obeisances. He worshipped Lord Nityanand and said, O my Lord, you are very merciful towards this menial servant of yours. I humbly request you to kindly take rest today at my residence. Lord Nityanand said, you are very fortunate person. Lord Garanga has personally blessed you. Today all of us will stay here and take rest. Sridhar was extremely satisfied to hear this desire of Lord Nityanand. Immediately he brought all the ingredients for cooking and he had a devotee Brahmana cook the feast. First Lord Nityanand and Srivas Thakur took prasad, and after they had concluded their meal, Shri Jeev very happily honored prasad. When Nityanand Prabhu reclined on a bed after taking prasad, Sridhar, along with his whole family, massaged his divine lotus feet. Then we have Shashti Tirtha. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states in his Navadvip Bhavataranga, north of Prithukund is the town of Mathura and the holy place known as Shashti Tirtha, which is within the exquisitely beautiful forest of Madhuvan in Raja. This is very vastly populated by many people. May my eyes become purified by viewing this scene. During the afternoon, Srivas Thakur took Srivad Jiva on tour. He showed him Shashti Tirtha, the 60 Tirthas. Srivas explained, before the advent of Lord Sri Gauranga, the demigods came to know that the Lord would soon appear in Navadvip. Vishwakarma came to Nadia, realizing that Mahaprabhu would be performing Nagar Sankirtan and walking through the streets of Nadia. The architect of the demigods understood that the Lord, along with his associates, would become very thirsty. In order to relieve them of thirst, Vishwakarma dug 60 ponds in one night, and the last one being in the village of Chandkazi. Then we have Sri Ishodhyana, Nand Acharya's house. This is where Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda first met. Sri Gaur Nityanand Gaudiya Mach temple is said to mark the site where the house of Nandan Acharya used to stand. This temple is between the ISKCON temple and the boat ghat to Navadvip. The area from the confluence of the Ganga and the Saraswati up to the Samadhi of Srila Prabhupada is known as Ishodhyana, the Lord's garden. This is where Nandan Acharya had his house. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Navadvip Bhavataranga, in the southern portion of Mayapur on the bank of river Ganga and very near its junction with the river Saraswati is the extensive grove called Ishodhyan, the Lord's garden. May that garden be place of my eternal devotion. In this garden, my Lord Sri Sachinandan performs his midday pastimes along with his devotees. Seeing the brilliance of this grove, I shall be reminded of Radha Kund in Raja. May all these areas be eternally visible to my eyes. Huge trees and dark vines appear very dense. Among the foliage there are various types of birds singing the transcendental glories of Lord Gaura. In the garden, there is a large lake, an extremely opulent temple glowing with pure gold inlaid with diamonds, as well as blue and yellow sapphires. The materialists, with their eyes bewildered by the illusion of material sense perception and who are envious of the Lord, can never see this grove. Rather, they only see a small piece of land covered with thorns, periodically thrown into utter destruction by the forceful flooding of the river. Now we have the meeting of Sri Gauranga and Sri Nityanand at Nandan Acharya's house. Janiya aila jhata navadipa pure asiya rahila nandana acharyera ghare. As soon as Lord Nityanand realized that Lord Chaitanya had manifested himself, he quickly went to Navadvip. When he arrived, he resided in the house of Nandan Acharya. Lord Nityanand was staying in Vrindavan, waiting until Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested. His Sankirtan pastimes in Navadvip. When Lord Nityanand came to know that Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu had started his Sankirtan movement, he travelled to Navadvip Dham. Nandan Acharya was very happy to receive Lord Nityanand at his house, where he has offered him a place to stay and also arranged for his prasadam. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that Lord Nityanand had reached Navadvip. He felt great happiness within his heart and informed all the Vaishnavas, "Oh my dear brothers, within the next 2-3 days, a great personality will come here." But no one could understand about whom the Lord was talking. One morning, after Lord Gaurahari had concluded his worship of Lord Vishnu, he came to meet the devotees. The Lord said, "Today I had a wonderful dream. A great chariot called Taladhwaja came and stopped in front of my house. Sitting on that chariot was a great personality with a huge body. He was holding a club over his shoulder, and his left hand was a kamandalu pot, bound to a stick. He was wearing a blue cloth and had a blue turban on his head, and a wonderful earring was hanging from his left ear. Upon seeing this character, I felt he had the mood of Haladhar, Lord Balram. He asked me 10 or 20 times, "Is this house of Nimai Pandit?" He looked like a great Avadhuta. I have never seen such a personality. I felt very respectful to him and asked him, "Oh, great personality, who are you?" He smiled and said, "I am your brother. Tomorrow we will meet with each other." From the stream, I think a great person must have come to Navadvip. I have told you before that very soon we will meet with a great personality. Oh Haridas, oh Srivas, please go and find out whether he has already arrived. By the order of the Lord, both Haridas and Srivas went to search for him all over Navadvip, but they could not find such a personality anywhere. After searching for him all over for 9 hours, they finally came back to Lord Gaurhari and informed him. We searched for this personality everywhere in the house of all the Vaishnavas, sannyasis, and grahasthas, even in the homes of all the atheists, but we could not find him anywhere. We have searched all over Navadvip, but we have not gone to other villages. Upon hearing this, Lord Gaurhari smiled and explained to them how this personality, not with Lord Nityanand, is very confidential. Not everyone can find him. Unless Gauranga himself reveals him, he cannot be found. Lord Gauranga said, "All of you come with me. We will go and search for him together." Lord Gaurchandra, along with all the devotees, went to Nandan Acharya's house. There they saw this great jewel among all persons. He was as effulgent as millions of suns. He was in immense meditative bliss and was always laughing. Mahaprabhu understood his great devotion and, along with all his associates, offered obeisances to him. All stood there with respect. No one said a word. They just looked on silently. Lord Vishwambar stood in front of that personality. He recognized Lord Nityanand, the Lord of his life. Lord Nityanand also recognized his Lord. In ecstasy, Lord Nityanand became stunned and looked upon Lord Vishwambar with undeviated, focused attention in such a way that it seemed as if he was licking with his tongue, drinking through his eyes, embracing his arms, and smelling through his nose. Thus Nityanand became silent and motionless. Everyone was surprised to see this, but Lord Gaurarai could understand everything. In order to reveal Lord Nityanand's Swarup to everyone, Lord Gaurchandra devised a plan. He made an indication to Srivas Pandit to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Understanding the desire of the Lord, Srivas Pandit recited the following verse. Varhapidam natavaravapu karnayo karinasaram bibradvasatanakatapisham vaijayantam chamalam randranvenor adhara sudhaya purayam gopavrindet vrindarayan swapada ramanam pravisha gita kriti. Wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue karnikara flowers upon his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vaijanti garland, Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with his marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-5. As soon as Lord Nityanand heard this verse, he immediately fell down and lost his external consciousness. When Lord Nityanand fainted in ecstasy, Lord Gauranga instructed Srivas to recite more and more. By hearing again and again, Lord Nityanand regained his external consciousness and started to cry. Hearing the verse repeatedly increased his ecstasy, and he started roaring like a lion. He was jumping high in the air and falling to the ground. Everyone was thinking that his bones would break. Even the Vaishnavas were afraid what to speak of others. Everyone prayed to Lord Krishna, saying, "Please save him, please save him, save him." Lord Nityanand was rolling on the ground, his whole body drenched with tears. He was looking at the face of Vishwambar and breathing heavily, experiencing ecstasy within the heart and laughing loudly. Sometimes he was dancing, sometimes he was bending down, sometimes he was beating on his arms, and other times he was jumping, which was a very amazing sight. By seeing this most wonderful ecstasy due to madness for Lord Krishna, Sri Gauranga cried along with all the Vaishnavas. Constantly the happiness increased. No one was able to catch hold of Lord Nityanand. And after that failed attempt, Lord Vishwambar himself took Lord Nityanand onto his lap. As soon as Lord Nityanand reached the lap of Vishwambar, he became quiet and surrendered his life to him. Lord Nityanand was floating in the water of love of Sri Chaitanya. He looked exactly like Lakshman when he was hurt by Shakti weapon of Indrajit, and Vishwambar looked exactly like Ramchandra holding his wounded brother on his lap. Lord Nityanand fainted, pierced by the arrows of Prem Bhakti. Lord Gaurachandra was crying, holding Nityanand. After some time, Lord Nityanand regained his external consciousness and the devotees started chanting, Hari Hari, Jai, Jai. Nityanand and Gaurachandra just looked at each other without saying anything as tears flowed from their eyes. Then Lord Gauranga started glorifying Lord Nityanand by saying, Today is the very auspicious day because I have seen Bhakti Yoga in you, which is the essence of all the Vedas. Without the energy of Ishvara, how can anyone exhibit tears and other symptoms like these? By serving you, one will get Krishna Bhakti. We have come to purify all 14 planetary systems. You are the personification of Krishna Bhakti. Now I understand that Krishna has brought you here to give me your associations, which will definitely deliver me. After glorifying Nityanand for some time, Lord Gauranga asked fearfully, Kindly tell me, where have you come from? Nityanand, who has a childlike nature and was talking like a child, said, I had set off for a Tirth Yatra. I went to see all holy places of Sri Krishna, but wherever I went, I only saw empty places without Krishna. I asked some gentlemen, why was this so? Why are all these simhasanas empty? Oh my dear brothers, please tell me in which direction Krishna has gone. They replied that Krishna had gone to Gaud Desha just a few days ago. He went to Nadia after visiting Gaya. There is a great Hari Sankirtan happening in Nadia. Some said Lord Narayan has appeared there. I heard the deliverer of fallen souls had appeared in Nadia. Hearing this great news, a fallen soul like me has come here. Mahaprabhu said, We are all very fortunate that a great devotee like you has arrived here. By seeing the flow of bliss in you, we have been blessed today. Thus, Lord Nityanand and Gaurachandra met each other at Nanda Acharya's house. Whoever listens to this description will become free from material bondage and receive pure Krishna Bhakti. Thank you, Mataji. We completed Antardvip Dham. If you all have some time, we can start with Srimad Dham today and read a few pages for another 5-10 minutes. Can I go ahead, Shamaguri Mataji?
Mataji, we can start the new thing tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that will be good, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mamta Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving this opportunity. I can't thank enough. It was very blissful. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Dandat pranam. I glory Patita Naam Pavane Bho Vaishnavi Bho Namo Namo Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Madhur Dham Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada.
This session is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.